in, and then skip the space, and then get to the end. That's I was like, that's all I did. Well, when we moved, that's what we got.
The deal is that tax spread.
We believed it when you said we're going to get it by June. We believed it. I'm not sure if I'm in. Oh, Grandma? I'm not sure if I'm going to be in town. It's September the 5th. September the 5th. Oh, do the parade? Yeah. I will be in the great state of Illinois. This is Saturday, September 5th, or is it August? September 5th, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be in Illinois, sunshine. But this young fella here will be in the parade, I'm sure. Well, these are cough drops. My throat's usually sore from the vice mayor. Have you got to meet our vice mayor?
I have. Oh, yeah, a couple, 3 times.
A couple of times when I do come here.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a princess.
Yeah.
More like a queen.
Oh, a queen.
The queen.
How's things, bro?
Told her, I said, I need a tiara like that in Joe Duffy does. I've seen it. It's not very pretty. You want to grab a seat? That way you can see what it's like from the mayor's spot, looking out over everything.
Happy Fourth.
Okay.
Hi, Tim. All right, got a nice stuff they're looking at the other day. It's a nice. Good.
So you were
Yeah.
here last
Good.
week. My neighbors over there
So at
Look forward to it.
got up and called the public
Thank you for
and
coming.
said, "You people didn't let us."
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Just peachy.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you.
Yeah.
This improves me.
I might raise my hand.
You might raise your hand and come up and talk to us.
Yeah. Because I have something that was
The county fair. So it's Sparkle's junior team 2015. When was that? When did that take place?
right after I was over Arizona.
Right. Okay.
Because it was a couple months when it was like a couple months later when my time was over, but it overlapped with this, so I became a queen and then I was over with Arizona's queen.
Cool. All right. This is so nice to have you here.
We're in Chris Church. So I take a picture.
to seeing you in just a few minutes. In about 4 minutes, I got to call the meeting to order.
That's cool.
Alright, come sit in our seats.
She is the greatest kid. What a neat young lady. We're going to have who tonight?
Battles?
I don't know. A lot of viewers here tonight. And I guess Bud's going to do the noontime or the Lions.
The face is kind of off.
Well,
Looks good.
yeah.
Don, how you doing? Well, I've been better. PE things. PE.
Not the start.
Let's start out. My leg was sore. So I go down to the emergency room down in Phoenix where they did the surgery on an aneurysm. And so we gave me sonogram. Oh, you got a DVT.
6 o'clock.
So then they said, have you had short cigarettes? I said, yeah.
Close enough.
And then I said,
It was 6, huh?
minor pain in my shoulder.
Is this an 8 o'clock evening?
He eats.
7:30?
I am, yeah.
Somebody
What do you
went
think?
to the pants scan.
We used to have the old anchor pools on the boat. People would pitch in $10 on when the anchor was going to drop.
When Liberty, also when Liberty called.
Yeah.
That was more important than anything. Well, you had to probably.
Yeah.
I'm outside of here.
I never bet on when Liberty was going down. I was always on
For
his
you.
stretch.
For everybody else, okay, but not you.
Don't mess around. I'm not going to straight to you. Don't mess around with us.
And see, that's part of what happened. Blood clots break loose. They have to thin out. Point. All right, thanks.
Did I hear that right? He had a stroke.
His mother did. No, he's telling me be careful because of the blood clotting problem I got.
Right,
Be
yeah.
careful because that obviously the blood's going to cause a stroke.
Right,
How you doing,
Lots of
Don?
aspirin.
No, they got me on that Xarelto. Yeah, it's a blood thinner.
You have any side effects from it?
Nothing so far. And they said I'm probably going to be on it for 6 months.
Yeah. And all that garbage out and get it flushed through. The guy who figures out how to put a Fram oil filter on the human body is going to be amazing.
Right here. When you
Just unscrew it
unscrew that every 6 weeks,
and drop a new one in.
put another one in.
Where's Mike?
Yeah.
Is Mike Bessie coming in?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the real problem. Okay. You guys are ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You guys ready down this way?
Ready, everybody?
All right.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please remove your hats and rise for the invocation. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together and to conduct the town's business. Father, we would ask that you would watch over our first responders and over our servicemen, those who are protecting our lives and our families. Father, please be with us as we conduct this business this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. May we have the roll call?
Councilmember McKee? Here. Councilmember Turner?
Here.
Councilmember Wojcik?
Here.
Vice Mayor Croft?
Here.
And Mayor Marley?
Here. Introductions, presentations, and proclamations. First, we have a presentation of a commercial created by GIS CAD web technician Jan Mazie for the Chino Valley Library and updates regarding senior center improvements and the town's customer service initiative. Ms. Grip?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If it's okay, I'm going to sit here so I can run the video. I just wanted to brag on a couple of our departments this evening, if I may. We have now, with our new website and with some of our staff skills, started to develop different ways that we can communicate with the public. So I want to commend Jan Mazie, first off, for taking initiative on her own and coming up and developing a couple infomercials or commercials. So I'm going to show just a minute of a commercial that's for the library. It's 5 minutes long, but I'm just going to show the first minute. And then I'm going to show a commercial she did for National Night Out, which is next week. So I'm going to play those two, and then I want to talk a little bit about the Senior Center.
The Chino Valley Public Library is more than just books. The library is a place to explore, discover, and engage. It offers people free access to an abundance of information that they often can't find elsewhere, whether online, in print, or in person. Whether they're looking for the latest bestseller, DVD, or information found on the internet, it can be found at the library. Some come for children's story time, community programming, or meeting space for community organizations. Others come for a nice area to sit, relax, and read. The library is the center of the community.
So that's the example of the library, and as you know, we just had a bunch of renovations done this last year, so it gives us an opportunity to kind of show some of that off. And this is the one that she did for the neighborhood night out. Whoops. Where was that one? Oh.
On Tuesday, August 4th, neighborhoods throughout Chino Valley are invited to join forces with thousands of communities nationwide for the 32nd Annual National Night Out Crime and Drug Prevention event. National Night Out is designed to heighten crime and drug prevention awareness, generate support for and participation in local anti-crime efforts, strengthen neighborhood spirit and police community partnerships, and send a message to criminals letting them know neighborhoods are organized and fighting back. The event will include free food, free giveaways, lots of games for the kids, water slide, and bouncy house. Come join us Tuesday, August 4th, 5 to 9 p.m. at Memory Park, Palomino Road and North Road 1 West, just by the library. Come visit your local law enforcement.
So one of the things that we've been, last year, most of you kind of know, we adopted some core values with our employees. So one of our core values is leadership, and if you see a need, lead. And I just wanted to commend Jan on this, that in my opinion, she did this all on her own initiative and just kind of showed up one day and said, look what we're doing now. So I just wanted to call that out for an employee. And then next we have the senior center, and they have done some improvements for their floor over there. As you know, we talked about this a little bit ago. I wanted to show this pictorially, some of the improvements that they've done. The floors were done by Don Ria of Classic Garage, and we now have the patio in. And this is a bistro area that they now have, so senior citizens or other people can come in and have coffee, etc. This is the patio in the back, and as you can see, they've got the cutout there for where the French doors are going to go. I just really want to thank the senior center, the advisory board. They've stepped up quite greatly to do this, especially Nancy Herrera, Nancy Best, with the the car show that we had. They were great help. The Lions also have donated some funds, and they're going to formally do that tonight. But it just takes everybody to kind of help out. Cindy was gracious enough to move her office from, which was a bigger office space, and give it to the thrift store, which is what helps fund some of this improvements as well. So I just wanted to show some of that off. So, and lastly, I just wanted to mention through the budget, we were talking about our customer service initiative this next year. We've all been trying harder to work on our customer service skills and become that business friendly and everything else internally and externally here. So we're finishing up our first round of training this week, but we're going to continue on and doing that, and that also fits really well in with our core values. So I appreciate last couple weeks ago, Alon mentioned you guys hear a lot of things out on the street that we don't always hear. Let us know what you're hearing so we can try and work on some of those things.
Excellent.
Okay? Thank you.
All right, yeah.
Thanks.
All right, our next, I noticed in the library video that you weren't in there, Vice Mayor.
I can't read. I got a lot of pictures over there,
A
though.
lot of pictures, okay, thank you. Story time. Oh, item B is a presentation of a donation to the Chino Valley Senior Center by the Chino Valley Morning Lions Club. I believe we have some folks from the Lions Club here. Do we have anyone receiving it for the Senior Center? Cindy will be. Right. Do we have a microphone for him?
We gave Cindy $1,000, and there'll probably be a little bit more when down the road, and she's done a marvelous job so far in the senior center. I think it looks excellent, and we're happy to do this.
Thank you, bud. You bet. Our next item is call to the public. Call to the public is an opportunity for the public to address the council concerning a subject that is not on the agenda. Public comment is encouraged. Individuals are limited to speak for 3 minutes. The total time for call to the public may be up to 30 minutes per meeting. Council action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. Do we have anyone for call to the public? Please come up and state your name.
Good evening. I am Beth Vickery, Arizona Miss Sparkles Junior Team. I am working with our state pageant to hold a local pageant in our county. The Yavapai Fair will be hosting the Miss Sparkles Yavapai County pageant in October. I would like to invite all girls with special needs, age 5 to 60, to participate with me in this great event. We are also looking for volunteers to help at the fair that week. We need lots of help. For more information, contact the local director, Suzanne, at 928-899-3582.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else for call the public? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Most of you know I was before you 2 weeks ago regarding Center Street, the part that was unpaved. There's a new issue that came up. It has to do with the road work you're doing on the what I call the former Peavine Trail. There's heavy trucks going back and forth now, including a water truck. Now, it's ironious, this water truck comes over this unpaved little stretch of road, not putting any water down, goes up into and up to the former Peavine Trail, and that's where all the water goes. And I'm saying, is there any way that maybe with all the big hopper, I call them hopper trucks, they're big trucks, with all the traffic going back and forth, that maybe when he comes through with the water, maybe he would be nice enough to put some water down so that he doesn't throw up the dust and all the other trucks doesn't throw up? And if it's a subcontractor, maybe the city can, the town, excuse me, can do something about that, just ask them to be polite to the people who live there.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor,
Ilona.
can you ask her to give her name, please?
I believe your name's, ma'am, your name's Ilona Dean,
Correct, spelled with an I, I-L-O-N-A.
I-L-O-N-A. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Others for call to the public? Okay, call to the public is now closed. And we enter into response to the public. Response to the public is an opportunity for the mayor to inform the public about how town officials addressed matters raised during call to the public at a previous meeting. And Ms. Dean, as she said, spoke at our last meeting, had some thoughts on the Chino Meadows paving project. One of the things that she had said during her call to the public was that our town engineer had lied or told an untruth insofar as the paving schedule, and I needed to let all of our constituents know that Mr. Gritman does what he can with the information he's given, but at the end of the day, he works for Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith works for the town council, and the town council overrode what Mr. Gritman had proposed. And the next thing that Ms. Dean had asked was, why was it not paved, the section of, what was it, Cotton?
Center Street.
The section, okay, the section of Center Street itself, the town council looked at all the options. We made the decision on where the asphalt was going to go and where the chip seal is going to go, and we're hoping to have the chip seal laid down in next year's chip seal program. Our next call to the public was from Mr. Ron Maines, and he had expressed an concern about Ordinance 15-797, which amends Section 1.92E of the Chino Valley UDO. Section 1.92E allows owners of lands included in a zoning ordinance or owners of land within 150 feet of the land being rezoned to file a written protest against the proposed zoning. If 20% or more of such owners sign the protest, council is required to hold a public hearing on the matter, and a 3/4 vote of council is required to approve the rezoning. Section 1.92E of the UDO mirrors Arizona Revised Statute Section 9-462 5.04H, except that Ordinance 15-797 adds the requirement for protests to be submitted 3 business days prior to the date of the public hearing at which the zoning ordinance will be considered by the council. Mr. Maines objected to the 3 business days because effectively, with the town's 4-day work week, 3 business days become 6 days, including Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as non-business days. The reason for the 3 business days requirement is to give town staff 3 working days to make sure that the protest is valid. This includes reviewing the signatures, making sure the persons who signed actually do own property within the required area, and to validate that the calculation of the 20% is correct. 3 working days is reasonable time for staff to do this work, especially considering that this work is in addition to staff's other duties. Mr. Maines also stated that the 3 business day requirement conflicts with the 15-day notice requirement for public hearings. It does not. The 3 business day requirement does not affect the 15-day notice requirement. UDO 1.92B requires the town to adhere to the posting and publication requirements set forth in Arizona law. Arizona law and the UDO require the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing and to post and publish a notice of the public hearing at least 15 days prior to the hearing. Under state law and the UDO, council is not required to hold a public hearing unless there's a legal protest, objection, or request for a public hearing. If there is a legal protest, council has the option to pull the agenda item for approval of the ordinance, publish and post the notice, and then hold the public hearing at a meeting at least 15 days after the notice is first published. In the alternative, the town can publish 1 notice of hearing stating that the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on a certain date and that council may hold a public hearing on a later date certain. That way, if a protest is received, council can hold the required public hearing on the date originally planned and for which notice was provided in accordance with the law for the consideration of the ordinance. You can probably figure that out. I had our legal department review that. Anyway, that finishes our response to the public. On to current event summaries and reports. This item is for information only. The mayor, any council member, or town manager may present a brief summary or report of current events or ask a staff member to provide the same. Presentation on information requested by the mayor and council will be made and questions answered. No action will be taken. Status reports by the mayor and council regarding current events. Did we have any reports here? Any reports on this side? Okay. Just wanted to thank our community for the interest shown in our council position. We had, I believe, 11 applicants. Is that correct? And just wanted to thank everybody for putting in for that. It's pretty neat to have that level of response. Also, I'd like to read a letter of appreciation that was sent to our building department. It says, "Good morning. In the past several weeks, I've had the pleasure of interacting with your building department in Chino Valley. We have decided to build out the remaining 15 lots we own in Bright Star. I have been so impressed with your staff and their willingness to help. In particular, Hilda Johnson and your plans examiner, Jim Chino, have made the application and permit process flawless. It is clear to me that Chino Valley is open for business. We do not get this kind of service elsewhere. Great job. Regards, Bobby, I believe it's Wager of Legacy West." So it's nice to hear good news now and then. Status reports by our town manager, Robert Smith, regarding town accomplishments and current or upcoming projects. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. If members of the public would like copies of this, I have a few extra up here. All they need to do is let me know. This is information related to business licensing. I also have some information related to building permits. The chart that you see here on page 1 indicates in the blue line new active business licenses. The line in green is the net gain, the additional new businesses in Chino Valley year over year. The line in red is the average net gain year after year from 1993 to present. So it includes the present levels that we're currently seeing. The 31 average net gain has been far exceeded from 2012 forward. If you look at the figures, the net gain and loss in terms of businesses in 2015 has been 99 net gained businesses this year. That's 3 times the average that we've seen in our history. So it is true that we do have some businesses that close their business license or go inactive, but we have had far more new businesses created. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. The keyboard's missing. Oh, there it is. Thank you. In terms of where those businesses are being created, I have information from 2010 forward. Of the jobs, the businesses that were created, these are the sectors and the relative percentages of that net gain for that year. Most recently, we've seen a fairly large increase in retail as well as service-related business licenses, and that tracks with the analysis that we have that says that we've got a lot of entrepreneurs in Chino Valley who are operating services and contracting-related businesses out of their home. This is information about permitting from 2008 forward. When you look at the number of residential permits per year on average from 2008 to today, there's been about 183 residential permits per year, about 24 commercial permits per year, with an average of about 207 building permits per year. This year, we far exceeded that. We have 286 permits this year. We've seen a good bit of growth in the commercial sector, which has been fairly dormant for the last 5 years. Again, the average line there is 207, and you can see from about 2012-13 forward, we're beginning to climb up above that average. The green line is total building permits, the red line is commercial, and the blue line is residential. Could you go back one more? If you look at that italicized line, value of building permits. In 2012-2013, the valuation of the building permits added to Chino Valley was right at $4.7 million. The following year, we almost doubled that with $8.4 million. And this year, the total value of building permitting in Chino Valley topped out at $11 million. We're seeing an increase in the valuation of our community that's significant over what the past 5 to 10 years has been. Next slide. Thank you. I just wanted to show a picture of that in a different way. The blue is residential permits, and the red is commercial permits, and you can see that large triangle, well, the growing triangle off to the right, hopefully showing an increasing trend from 13 to 64 commercial permits. The little figure in the right up there, the orange line, is showing the total of our town's valuation, which in 2012 was right at $64 million. With the addition of the valuation of the building permits, we're approaching $80 million now. Cool. Those green bars, if you look over to the right, represent the percentage growth in the valuation year over year. In 2012-13, our growth rate was right at 7% in terms of the valuation. We now, this last year, are seeing 16% in the figures that show for our valuation. And the little purple thing down there is the increasing permit curve, the value of those building permits in respect to our total valuation.
Excellent. Thank
Are
you.
there any questions?
Oh, I believe, Ms. Smiley? I believe when we visited with Ms. Smiley a couple of weeks back, she had said that we ought not to ask questions during the presentation.
Well, if anybody has any questions, please come see me or give me a call. I'll be happy to sit down with you and go over the figures.
Okay, great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next is our consent agenda. All those items listed below are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion. Any council member may request to remove an item from the consent agenda to be considered and discussed separately. Does anyone on this side of the council wish to remove a consent item? Anyone on this side? No? Okay. May we have our consent agenda?
6A, consideration and possible action to accept the June 9th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. 6B, consideration and possible action to accept the June 23rd, 2015 regular meeting minutes. And 6C, consideration and possible action to approve recommended budget adjustments for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2015. The contingency budget will be reduced from $367,000 to $264,000. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, $264,400,000.
Okay, thank you. The chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A, B, and C.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action items. The council may vote to recess the public meeting and hold an executive session on any item on this agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A3 for the purpose of discussion or consultation for legal advice with the town attorney. Executive sessions are not open to the public, and no action may be taken in executive session. Item 6A, council may vote to recess the regular meeting and hold an executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A1 for discussion or consideration of the appointment of Mark Whitfeld, Leland Paul, Hans Vang, Eric Frere, Corey Mendoza, Susan Keller, Dean Keller, Lillian Morales, Catherine Knapp, Mark Busich, or Alex Harris to fill the vacancy on the town council. Vice Mayor Crow.
I would like to make a motion to recess the regular meeting and hold executive session.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now recess to
Mayor?
executive. Yes, ma'am. We were only thinking we were going to recess to executive session.
I'm sorry. It's my understanding that two of the people who are under discussion have asked that discussion as to them be held in public. So they have the right to do that. So just to mention that you will not be discussing Alex Harris and
Lillian Morales.
who was the other one?
Lillian
Oh,
Morales.
Lillian Morales in executive session. Any discussion of them will be held in public.
Okay, Alex Harris and Lillian Morales. Okay, thank you.
What's the other name, Brown?
Lillian Morales.
Oh, Morales.
Alex Harris and Lillian Morales. We will not speak of them during executive
I
session.
didn't even see that name on the list.
It is.
They were- Okay, they were on the item that I just read, item 7A. All right, we are now adjourned for the moment. We're going to move to E-session, and we'll be back out in a little bit.
Where? Where's that in? I got,
It's not on there.
why is it not? I thought those were the 5 names we were considering.
Those are the 5 minutes, but she wasn't.
The suspenders keep popping.
Ready? Okay, we are back in session. Item B is consideration and possible action to review and discuss final applicants for the vacant council position as recommended by the Appointments Subcommittee. Part 2, select an applicant to fill the vacant position. Part 3, administer the oath of office to said selected applicant. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Motion to select Mr. Corey Mendoza as the applicant for the vacant town council position.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I have a comment. Matt, is that before or
We need a
after?
second first.
I believe we have to have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You have a comment, and we can now speak of those of whom we could not speak,
Right.
of which we never have spoken. Yes, ma'am.
True. On the council, we have a retired engineer, we have a businessman, we have people from the business community, company projects people, and working class people. I think we could expand and go, we have another applicant, I believe. I like the resume and the information presented in Alex Harris's information, and I would like to see her considered as well.
Okay. Well, we had a motion to select Mr. Mendoza, and we had a second. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. If the vote fails, then I suppose we will propose another one. I suppose we can do that, right, Ms. Smiley?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. We have a motion, we have a second, we have had discussion. We will have a roll call vote.
Pat McKee?
No.
Councilmember Turner?
Yay.
Councilmember Wojcik?
No.
Vice Mayor Croft?
Yes.
And Mayor Marley?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Motion carries, motion carries. Mr. Mendoza has now been selected by the council. Our item 3 is to administer the oath of office to said selected applicant. Can we do that?
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. State of Arizona.
State of Arizona,
County of Yavapai.
County of Yavapai,
I, Corey Mendoza,
Corey Mendoza,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the laws of the state of Arizona,
and the laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true
faith and allegiance to the same,
faith and allegiance to the same,
and defend them against all enemies,
defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of Town Council Member
of Town Council Member
of the Town of Chino Valley
of Town of Chino Valley
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, Mr. Mendoza, don't go back there. You're up here now.
You're in the hot seat. What, you got a name tag made already? Huh?
Fake, but yeah.
It's out of, it's on, in crayon.
They gave me an opportunity.
All right. Well, turn your microphone on if you would, Mr. Mendoza. You're now a voting member of the council.
All complaints go to Mr.
All complaints go to Mr. Mendoza. Item C, public hearing regarding an application from Andrea Lukowitz for the acquisition of control of an existing Series 9 liquor store liquor license for Safeway Incorporated, located at 1031 North State Route 89, Chino Valley. Item 2 is consideration and possible action to either allow or protest the change of ownership of the Series 9 liquor license for Safeway Incorporated to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control. The chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to go to hold a public hearing?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Public hearing is now open. Do we have anyone from our audience that has anything, any input on the Series 9 liquor store license for Safeway Incorporated? No. Do we have anyone from council that wishes to speak to the issue? No. The chair would entertain a
Motion
motion.
to close the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 2 is to take no action or protest the acquisition of control of Safeway Series 9 liquor license. The chair would entertain a motion
Motion to approve the
to take no action, I suppose.
do we have to take action? We have to actually approve the license. I really don't know. We
No,
have to
you
approve
don't, you don't actually approve the license.
we
What
have
you
no
do
action
is
to
you
take?
vote to take no action
it. Okay.
on the license.
Motion to take no action on the liquor license.
All right.
Second.
A motion to do nothing and a second.
confused now?
All right, that's good.
So am I.
All right.
Allow, it says.
Uh-huh. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item Delta, consideration and possible action to adopt resolution number 15-1065, authorizing the application for a Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan from the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority of Arizona, WIFA, for expenses related to refinancing the USDA debt and constructing the Molly Ray sewer line extension in an amount not to exceed $4,560,000. Mr. Duffy, I believe you're up.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'd like to go over just for the public this evening and for Mr. Mendoza, the information that we provided in the study session. I'll try to be a little quicker and move along a little faster, but I thought it'd just be relevant to restate that for us. So, as you know, one of the reasons, what we're considering tonight is whether to refinance our USDA debt and do a sewer project for Molly Ray. And I thought I'd just back up a minute and just remind council and the community why we use WIFA. WIFA is actually a state agency that gets federal dollars and is able to offer to communities low interest or subsidized interest rates and sometimes forgivable principal grants. They work with both clean water and drinking water projects and have financed probably the majority of the projects in the state of Arizona. And it's because of their subsidized interest rates. Towns have an application process, they have a propriety list, and they fund as much as they can. But they've done huge projects, hundreds of $1 million projects, and some 100,000 or 5,000, real small projects too. So they've helped communities from the small ones to all the big ones. Just about every CAFR I read has WIFA debt somewhere in it. So the number one reason is, or one of the reasons is they offer subsidized interest rate. And Chino Valley, because of after reviewing our community, they give us basically a 20% discount on whatever the market rate is. They extend grants to underprivileged communities, which essentially reduces the amount that you have to pay back. The wastewater treatment plant, we save $479,000, and propose for, if we do the Prescott water acquisition through WIFA, they're looking at about $636,000. WIFA allows borrowers to fund their reserve account over 5 years instead of financing the amount up front, so you don't have to borrow the money to put in reserve to guarantee your payment and don't have to pay interest on it. You can slowly make that payment over time, over that 5-year period. And they also encourage borrowers to do repair and replacement wherever it's applicable. So you go out and do a project, like let's say buy a wastewater treatment plant, and you're going to finance that for 20 years, they want you to put money in the bank every year, just a little bit, just in case something big breaks. So you don't have to come running back to them in 10 years and go, oh, we need more money. The town has used WIFA for several loans in the past. In 2007 and 2008, we used them for the sewer expansion and extension. And we just did the wastewater treatment plant in 2014. And if you look off to the right 2 columns, you can see what the reserve fund requirements are. Right now, the total loans out, we're supposed to have $636,000 in the bank. Of course, we just did the one in 2014, and we'll be funding that over time. And when that's funded, right now we're at 455,000. We'll take that money up to 636. And then also we have 112,000 in repair and replacement sitting in the bank in our account. And when that's totally funded, it'll be up, well, so far it'll go up to 268,000. So basically, when the loan's paid off, we'll have that cash available to use on the next project, or when that amount exceeds how much we owe, we can pay the loan off early. So, your choice. So the project we're proposing to refinance through WIFA is to refinance these 3 USDA loans that the town took out at 4.125% interest in 2007 through 2008. They have a payoff in 2038, and we're recommending that we keep the number of years, which I believe is 23 years, left, the term exactly the same. WIFA typically only allows a 20-year term on their notes, but they've gone ahead and extended that to 23 years. The original balance we borrowed was $4,432,000. We currently owe $3,900,000. And these are monthly payments, so every month it goes down just a little bit. If we refinance, if we keep paying the debt service on the 4.125% interest loan for 23 years, we're going to pay $5,961,000. If we refinance at the estimated 2.45% interest rate, we're only going to pay $5,190,000. So we'll have just a total cash savings in just dollars going out of over $770,000. If you present value that back at a 3% interest rate, you're about $636,000 in today's dollars. Now the interest rate. We refinanced the wastewater treatment, or purchased the wastewater treatment plant for 2.01% interest. Today, we're estimating 2.45. Unfortunately, we're not going to close this loan until October, early November. We don't know what the interest rate is. So we're doing this based on the current rate, and that's the variable. We don't know if that's going to go higher or lower. It could go either way in today's market. You don't know. But what you're asking us to do, what we're asking permission to do tonight is just to apply to WIFA for the loan. We still have some due diligence. The Public Works Department and I still have things we need to submit. WIFA board has to approve it, and then the loan documents come back to you. And at that point, we'll be able to estimate the interest rate pretty close. And, which means this might pencil and it might not. But we need to get the process started, and we've got 90 days to do it. So that interest rate, right now, it looks good, and we've even increased that rate a little higher than what it really would be if we did it today. But just know that we're going to come back with a different rate and some different numbers in the future. But these are historically low rates anyway. Even if it's a little higher, we're probably still going to be okay. The bad thing with WIFA and refinancing is they require a new project to refinance existing debt. And they don't require a big project, they just require new money to go out. And so Ron and Public Works came up with the idea of extending the sewer line up Center Street to the Molly Way subdivision. And these are our projections that we have. We feel the project's going to be about $570,000. And this debt service is only going to be 20 years. So this portion of the loan will only pay for 20 years. Now, you know how the town typically conservatively estimates their projects. We put in, make sure we have plenty, because the last thing we want to do is go back and ask for more money. If we don't spend it, we de-obligate it, and our loan amount's less. So we don't have to spend it. It'll be actually your call at the end of the day, whether we spend it or not. So the total debt service for the existing 23-year loans is $771,000. The new debt service on the new loans at the lower interest rate is $717,000. So we're going to save $53,000 in cash over the next 23 years. It's not a lot per year, but it's still a savings, and we get to extend our sewer line, a major trunk line up Center Street. The economics of that, though, are that we believe there's 102 lots still left to be built, and each one of those lots at today's buy-in fee will pay $6,000 to connect as they're being built. So they will generate $612,000. Plus, once they're all built out, they're all going to be paying sewer. Our current fees are $64. We know that may go up or down. So they're going to generate $78,000 a year in just revenue. So if you look at it that way, the Molly Way subdivision, just on itself, just by itself, will eventually pay all this money back to the town for the sewer extension. There's enough customers, enough density there to do it. So the total project cost, once they're all connected, the money will be back. And there's other homes along that way. This, of course, extends our trunk lines that, there's future other extensions that can come in along the way to it. So, and that's really up to council and a future project. So based on that, it just pencils by itself. So, our current USDA debt, our annual debt service is $271,000. Once we do this debt, which is refinancing, which will be a less, the exact amount will be less depending on when we close. The sewer line's $560,000, about $75,000 in closing costs. Whenever you borrow money, you got to pay your financial advisor and your bond counsel to do the documents. Rounds up to about $4,535,000. The debt service on that will be $268,000. Here's the schedule of how we're doing it. We had our study session on 16th. Tonight, we just adopt the debt authorization, allowing staff to go ahead and continue with the process. We do a project finance application to WIFA. It's not due on August 28th, but the last one Ron and I did, we did it in about 3 days, and it should probably turn around about that time. The WIFA board needs that application 60 days before, so they can approve it at their October 21st meeting. And then right after that, as quickly as we can, we're going to bring the loan documents back to council for approval. And that's your decision point. That's when, does the project make sense or not? If the interest rates go up to 3.5%, we might probably want to shelve it. I will say, though, even if this costs the town some money, I'm probably going to stand here and recommend it, even if the rates go up enough that it actually costs us $50,000 to $100,000, because you're getting a nice sewer extension, a major capital project done, which makes sense for whatever amount of money on it. So. And then right after that, as quickly as we can, the loan will close, and that's when the financial advisor and bond counsel will do that. So, are there any questions?
Yeah, I had several of them. You had mentioned that we had a study session July 16th, and since I attended it by phone, I couldn't see how many folks were in the audience. Did we have a fair amount of participation in the audience? No.
No, sir.
Second question, how many questions have you had from the council members regarding this project since that study session?
I don't think any.
Okay. I know I asked you a bunch before.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many questions did you receive from the public?
I've had
regarding
none.
this? None.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I sometimes I have folks say, well, nobody ever told us about this or whatever, and I wanted to make sure that that our council members had ample time since the 16th to ask you questions. The timeline on the build out, if the loan closes sometime in November, do we have any idea on what the timeline would be, Mr. Gritman?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We're looking at probably right around 3 to 4 months to design the project and another 3 to 4 months of construction. Some of this is going to depend on how deep we end up going. Okay. We'll have to work with other developers, engineers, to make sure that we're building it at a sufficient elevation that they can use it. Specifically north of Center Street, where we're actually lower than what the Center Street sewer will be. So we'll have to work with them. So it'll take a little bit of time to design it. If the council is comfortable, WIFA will pre-fund us on design. I already have a scope of work from a local engineer to design the project. We can start on the project anytime that the council wants to. Or you can wait until the November 10th meeting to give us the direction to start.
Okay.
So you're looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 months.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Goodman, introduce the developer.
We have a young fellow here who is the developer at...
Well, at the July meeting, Councilmember Croft said that he would like to speak to Tim Peterson, the developer of Molly Ray. He also has other properties that are along Center Street that would benefit from this. I extended an invitation. Tim's here. If you'd like to hear from him, he'd be happy to explain to you how this works with what his overall goals are on his project.
After that meeting, I spent some time investigating. Come on up, Tim. I I went up to Molly Ray, I looked at the property, some nice homes. I see he has 2 of them for sale up there, and has built a couple. And then I got on the internet and did some research. He built some nice homes, so
Thank you.
we'd like to support you. What kind of schedule do you have, and what's your idea for the project?
Well, we built the subdivision quite a few years ago, and the housing market collapsed. So we're debt-free out there, and I don't know what type of absorption rates, because the market is on its way back. We have Mandalay Homes building a couple homes out there. I've built a couple of homes, and the 2 homes that are listed for sale are the Mandalay homes. I think they built a really nice house for what they put together. I was a real estate appraiser for 20 years, used to do a lot of absorption rates. I really can't put my hands around the market today. The biggest problem we face out there is just the cost of the water from Prescott. And but from the time that we actually built the project and finished it, and then to the time the market started recovering here about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, we built those first 2 semi-custom homes, and Chino still had the impact fees. We were out $15,000 in impact fees, and I think the water meter out there is around $11,000. So we're excited about you guys buying the Prescott water, and we're excited about the sewer, because we spent a lot of money putting a dry sewer in out there. There's a manhole right out in center, just waiting for your sewer line to come along. And I think it would make those homes out there more marketable if they had sewer. We put natural gas in, spent the money to do that, and the sewer's already there. So it makes sense to run a sewer line. And we also have a 38-acre piece further down on the corner of Road 1 West and Center. And years ago, we talked to the town about developing that, but from the lack of sewer, we've just held back. So if the sewer line was to come up center, it would greatly benefit Molly Ray. It would benefit you guys having a lot of toilets flushing into your plant, which you get the benefits of recharge. And we would take a real serious look at developing that 38 acres right there on the corner. We'd take a real serious look at it, because the only reason why we really haven't developed it is because of, well, the housing market, but mostly because there's no sewer line. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? No.
Thank you,
All
Tim.
right, thank
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
And just for our audience benefit, as I've written in several of my mayor's report articles, one of the major hindrances to getting our sewer costs to stop rising and hopefully begin falling is lack of additional customers on the sewer line. When you're going to run the same pumps, and you're going to run the same aerators, whether you've got 10 toilets flushing or 1,000 toilets flushing. And if we have more customers on there, hopefully we can stop this steady increase of our sewer rates.
Mayor,
right.
can we get back on the subject now,
I
please?
would love to get back on the subject.
Thank you.
Little rabbit trail, small rabbit, and he's dead now. Any other questions or comments from council?
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
If and when this comes about to the 11th, 10th area there and loan docs come across, what is that timeline there? Once we get loan docs in our hands, is there a time limit? Do we have a given amount of time to get those done and get them back? In other words, do they send them and say, you got 3 days to do this, or do we have 2 weeks or a month, if we still have things on our plate? That's all I'm asking.
If we'll present them to you on that evening, if you decide you could table it and hold it off to the next meeting or whatever, there's no timeline and there's no obligation.
Okay.
If you guys say, you know what, we don't want to do it, there's no foul, no nothing. WIFA's not going to be mad at us, and the bond council. This, it's a decision point, and you can make the decision you want to make.
Okay.
On it. So,
Okay.
thank you.
And So our 11/10/2015 is not a drop-dead date in which we have to turn the key
It's
off?
the earliest date we can get them to you.
Okay, cool.
So,
Excellent. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution number 151065, authorizing the loan application.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item E, consideration and possible action to amend Chino Valley Town Code Title III Administration, Section 30.023 by adding item F5, which shall read, such emergency powers shall not continue for more than 30 consecutive days. Upon cessation of the declaration of emergency, the town council shall resume its regular duties. And this is on page 65 of your packet. Since I'm the one who sponsored it, it's amazing, I haven't gotten any flack about the mayor suggesting something that limits the mayor's powers. But for our audience's benefit, our original town code didn't have a time at which the declaration of emergency ceased. And so if the mayor decided that things were in an emergency state and wanted to declare martial law, theoretically, he or she could continue in a state of martial law, which is not all that close to the Constitution. So I thought 30 days should be close enough for a declared emergency. I think any real emergency that extends beyond that period of time, you've got 30 days to sort of get things into order and then restore the town council to be able to make those decisions. The declaration of emergency powers, I understand why they're placed under the authority of the mayor, but I don't think that should be an unlimited amount. I think 30 days should be good. If we cut it back to 2 weeks and we have a riot from the American Quilters Association or something like that, and we can't put down the rebellion in 2 weeks, if we got 30 days, we got plenty of time to cover it. And I think it's a lot better than having it open-ended and just depending on the mayor at that time to be a good person and cease that declaration of emergency powers. Any questions, any comments?
No, I'm fine with 30 days.
Okay. The chair would now entertain a motion.
Motion to recommend and approve ordinance number 15801, amending the Town Code, Title III Administration, Chapter 30, Governing Body, Mayor Section 30.023, Powers and Duties by adding F5 to limit the time of the mayoral declared emergency to 30 consecutive days.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8, executive session. Council may vote to recess the regular meeting and hold an executive session which will not be open to the public for the following purposes. An executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A4 for discussion or consultation with the town's attorney in order to consider its position and instruct the town's attorney regarding the town's position on a contract that is the subject of negotiations concerning acquisition of a portion of the City of Prescott water system. The chair would entertain a motion. Do we need a recess for a few moments? Okay.
Motion to recess for 5 minutes and then to enter into executive session.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Recessed for 5 minutes, and then we'll adjourn or we'll resume in executive session.
Yes, that's important, isn't it?
Jamie the night off.
No, she has.
All right, you folks ready? Regular meeting is now reconvened. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Good night to all.
You did that so well.